Tom Hardy is a British actor, best known for playing roles such as Bane and Al Capone. However, one role stands out a lot more than others when it comes to martial arts. That is Tom Conlon. Back in 2011, a lesser-known Tom Hardy played Tom Conlon in the movie The Warrior, which was about his rise in the MMA world. Here, Hardy played a typical working-class MMA fighter trying to make it in the cage. Overall, The Warrior wasn't a bad movie and was fairly realistic as far as the fight scenes go. Having said this, it was the training that captured Hardy's eye whilst rehearsing his role as Conlon. During rehearsals, it turns out that Hardy genuinely fell in love with MMA and he has been a martial artist ever since. In documentary footage based on the filming of The Warrior, Hardy also admitted that he had never done martial arts up to this point. So what does Hardy train now, and how good is he? It's no secret that Tom Hardy's main love is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has trained this for several years, and back in 2020 received his blue belt. For those that don't know, this is the second belt on the ladder. Generally, receiving a blue belt means around 2 years or so of training. By association, if you've trained BJJ for a few years, then you'll also know a little judo and wrestling too. Although Hardy won't know too much about these arts and still be a judo white belt likely, it's safe to assume he knows at least a couple of takedowns. He trains in London and has openly talked about his love for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Here he trains both gi and no gi. This training regime may explain why he's still in good shape, even though he's well into his 40s. If you've ever trained Jiu-Jitsu, then you'll agree that it's tough in terms of cardio and also works your muscles, which certainly helps improve the overall look of your body. If you were to describe Tom Hardy as a martial artist, then Jiu-Jitsu would definitely be his main discipline, as it's the one he's most vocal about and has legitimately trained it for several years. During shooting for The Warrior, Tom Hardy also trained boxing. This took place 5 times per week and was often done twice per day. When watching The Warrior, you can see he has the basic footwork and head movements of a boxer. Therefore, it's clear that he's done a bit of training, which makes sense. Over the years, he has also returned to boxing for other roles such as Venom, which helps keep his body from ring rust. Overall though, his boxing skills are fairly basic. There's nothing wrong with this, and it's as you'd expect for a busy actor. Nonetheless, even if you did train boxing twice per day for several months with a top coach, you'd still learn the fundamentals, which is a great skill when it comes to self-defense. You could say that Hardy is a novice boxer, but in saying that, he's probably still better than most of the population. Another martial art that Tom Hardy trained during The Warrior was Muay Thai. Again, this makes sense as an MMA fighter would legitimately train a combination of Jiu-Jitsu, boxing and Muay Thai at the very least. This is a martial art that comes from Thailand and involves both knee and elbow strikes. In general, it's a pretty brutal yet extremely effective martial art. In The Warrior, Hardy does perform a few knee shots from the Thai clinch, which is indicative of using Muay Thai. Like boxing though, the reality is that since shooting for the film, Hardy hasn't really continued to train Muay Thai and focuses most of his training on grappling. Nonetheless, just like his boxing skills, his Muay Thai is still solid and far better than most. So, how good is Tom Hardy at martial arts? It's fair to say that Tom Hardy is good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as he's trained for a number of years. In terms of time spent, he may even be a black belt in certain other martial arts, given that Jiu-Jitsu gives out belts a lot slower. In the past couple of years, Tom Hardy has actually been cited competing in the Masters 2 level of local BJJ competitions. Whilst this isn't the toughest division on the planet, he is genuinely competing in full contact competition against men his own weight and age. As you may know, Hardy regularly wins tournaments at this level, so whilst he isn't an elite level competitor, he is still far superior to most men of a similar age. In terms of striking, Hardy also knows more than most amateurs without being a specialist. Although he's experienced and knows a few fundamental moves, he's not as good at striking as he is with grappling. In summary, you could say that Tom Hardy's fighting style is primarily grappling based, mixed in with a few basic striking moves. As a result, he would be able to beat most average people in a fight, especially when you include his strength and conditioning training, which certainly helps. You could argue that this is a success for a man in his 40s. Instead of getting out of shape, it seems that Hardy has turned back the clock and is decent enough at fighting. He may not be exactly at the top level of professional MMA, but for a family man and an actor, he is certainly solid enough and knows enough martial arts to stay out of trouble and defend himself.